Hey YouTube, Sam Explains here, and today I wanted to go over 10 things you should be doing when you log into the game each day. These are things that I'm casually going to be working on, but it's always a good idea to prioritize what you're going to do when you first want to log in. So what is your goal that day for logging into the game? Are you trying to unlock a new character? Are you trying to farm energy activators and catalysts? You need to have a goal in mind if you want to progress in power, and if you're just kind of lost and you're not really sure what you should be doing, I am going to break it down and let you guys know what I have been doing to just steadily get more and more powerful throughout my playthrough. The first tip that I want to focus on, and this is one of the biggest one, is going to be these energy activators. You should be farming these as much as possible because this is like your bread and butter of trying to get your characters more powerful, get your weapons more powerful. You should naturally accrue some of these throughout your playthrough when you're farming for other things, because if I look up here, there is going to be a lot of options you can get. A lot of these patterns have energy activators in them, so naturally when you're going to be farming for other things, you're going to be opening those reconstructed devices and you will have a chance at getting these blueprints. Keep in mind, if you are not in hard mode yet, your chances are going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a 3% chance in normal comparatively to a 6% chance in hard. However, I always recommend, even if you're already really geared and you just are sitting on a lot of those normal amorph materials, it is worth going into those bosses and downing all of them just so you can use them all, and maybe you'll get, you know, one or two of the blueprints. They are extremely valuable and you will need this material to gain power. So anytime you have one of these blueprints, you should be going to farm these mats. It doesn't take that long. It only takes a few, like 30-45 minutes to get all of these mats done. It's very easy. The hard part is getting the blueprint, but after that, as I said, if you have the blueprint, immediately go farm these mats. Stop what you're doing because it does take 30 hours to research these. I try and craft one of these every 2 days since the research time is 30 hours. So get into a habit of looking out for that. Just in case you do get a pattern, you can go immediately start crafting it. You can also pre-farm these if you are trying to save some time. And the way these work is, let's say I want to upgrade my Greg's Reverse Fate since it's a good weapon right now. So I would go to the module additional settings and I would go to max capacity up. See how much capacity that gives me if I use an energy activator. So it buffs the weapon a lot because you get a lot more room to get those, to put those mods on. This can't be underestimated. You need to have a lot of these. Even if you've already maxed out whatever you want to max out, it's always a good idea to farm these for future content. So start stocking these up. It's a really good idea. I farm these very often. While we are on the topic of power progression, the second most important material that you're actually, arguably, this is the most important material that you're going to need. It's going to be the Crystallization Catalyst. These are extremely important. It is going to level your Descendant mod capacity, and you should be farming these every single day when you log in. There are so many ways to get these Crystallization Catalyst blueprints. It is basically anything you're going to be doing in the game. A lot of these patterns are going to, in normal, it's going to generally be about 15%, whereas in hard, it's going to be about 20%. So you should have a lot of these if you are farming other things throughout the game. And if you don't, they're really not that hard to target farm. You just have to scroll over here and do one of these options, and or you can just go see what patterns you have and go fight whichever boss or do whatever activity you need to do to have a chance at these. This is going to be extremely important when you are trying to get power for your guns and your Descendants. The way this works is you would come over here to your Descendant and you see how all of mine are green. That means I catalyst them. If you do have ultimates, it does come with some catalysts already activated. I believe the normal Descendants also 1 or 2 if I'm not mistaken, but you basically want to come up with a build and catalysts, and it gives you a lot more module capacity. So to do this, you would just go up here, hit assign module type, and this is only one I haven't done, but I have not made up my mind on what I want to do for this last slot, so I'm holding off. But this is how you would do it. You would select an icon and you would apply the socket type. Keep in mind, this is going to reset your Descendant level back down to 1. Generally, what I recommend is doing, if you have enough in your inventory, what I did was I would put one on my Thunder Cage and put one on my Descendant at the same time. That way I could be optimal and level up 2 things at once, and that would be be the best way to do it if you are trying to multitask and just gain that power. So these are really important. You're gonna need these. You should be farming these every single day. Get those stocked up. These have a 7.5 hour research time. So once you get those, you should go research it. And if you are able to log on twice per day, you can make like 2 per day. Or if you really want to sweat, you could probably do 3 per day. But that's up to you, however you want to do it. Next up, we're going to talk about Kaiper and gold farming as well as XP. So basically, the way I look at it is I always like to multi-farm. So I don't like going for one specific thing, even if it's optimal. I like getting, for example, if there was like a gold farm that gave me like 2 to 3 times more gold, but I'm only getting the gold and I'm not getting that Kaiper, I don't like doing it. You might be different, but I like multi-farming. So what I do is I'll pick a spot and I will just consistently rerun that mission, and whenever I'm low on Kaiper or gold, I'll just go farm like the Fortress Outskirts mission, the anticipated ambush point for Kaiper, gold, and those like breakers. You can do outpost farms like the Valby run, even though that's been nerfed, it's still solid. I mean, there's so many farms out there that you could be doing. Do not wait until you get down to like 50,000 Kaiper and like 1 million gold. Make sure you're just doing it a little bit every day. That way you're never gonna have to go back and do it. You're just always gonna be stacked up and ready when you want to upgrade something. You won't have to stop what you're doing and then go out and farm those things. I usually do it like 30 minutes to an hour a day. It really doesn't take that long. But if you want to just full send it and make it like an all day thing and then not have to worry about it for a while, you can absolutely do that too. There are plenty of farm spots. I'm not going to go over the farm spots, but you get the idea. You always want to be farming multiple things at once. The next thing is going to be weapon proficiency. You should always be swapping your guns that are not fully leveled up to 40. Generally what I'll do is I'll keep my main gun on that is maxed out, and then I'll equip 2 weapons that I have not gotten to proficiency level 40. So you should always be swapping these so you can min-max your mastery, because you are going to need to level all of these to eventually get those mastery points. So I recommend as soon as you max one out, throw another one on. Do not forget to favorite your weapon if you are trying to keep it by pressing U. Make sure to register those weapons so you don't accidentally disenchant them. Just constantly rotate the weapons and you'll be able to gain that mastery just passively while you're doing other activities. Very important to do this if you want to min-max your mastery. Always change weapons. On that note, you always want to be focusing on leveling new Descendants. This is another way to get mastery. You should always be trying to level your Descendants to 40 for the first time, because that is, again, what's going to give you mastery. So, for example, I unlocked Luna just recently, so I need to go level her to 40 so I get that max mastery points to build that up, because as you go up in mastery, you're going to get a lot of things like, inventory space and stuff like that. It's really important. And it's just you do want to be mindful of those things. Keep in mind, if you do get to 40 on a Descendant and you reset the level, you will not get more mastery for leveling it to 40 again. It's just for the first time that you level it to 40. That's why you always want to do new characters when you unlock them. And while we're talking about the Descendants, you should always be working on unlocking a new Descendant. It's all going to tie back into that mastery. So for example, here I still have a lot that I need to unlock. I do hope that they add more Descendant slots that you could maybe earn through events or in-game or things like that. But basically what I do, and you don't have to do this because I don't know if anything's going to change in the future. However, what I'm doing is if I get a ultimate version of a character, I am dismissing the regular version of the character. This is going to free up a slot. If they do not add new ways, then basically what I'm going to have to do is either A, buy it, or B, I would have to unlock these, level it to 40, and then dismiss them, which I really don't like doing. However, if I end up having to do that, I will. Yeah, like let's say right here, like I had Valby and Viesa unlocked. However, once I got their ultimates, I just dismissed them. That way I could free up a slot for another person, which I'm working on Ultimate Ajax. He is the last one that I need to grind for. But yeah, you always want to be working on unlocking those Descendants. Just go for whichever one you like the most. Keep in mind, Glay is the hardest. this, she has 6% all across the board, unless something's changed, but I believe that's still the case. And you are just going to unlock those ultimates, level them up, and you'll get mastery. And again, you can do it with the ultimate Descendants too. Ideally, you want to unlock them all, level them up to 40, and just keep the 10 that you want to use. The same thing, of course, goes with the weapons. You want to be working on this. Just if I still have quite a few to unlock, but if you need to unlock the weapons, do that as well. As I said, it does give you mastery, but you can just get those purple weapons up first. However you want to do it. Eventually, it'd probably be a good idea to have all of these unlocked, just so you can like rotate what you're doing and test out some builds and stuff like that. But the same rule applies. As I said, you get mastery from leveling up weapons. The next thing you want to be doing each day, now you don't have to do this for hours and hours, but generally what I'll do is I'll go farm void fragments for maybe like an hour. It doesn't really matter how much you do it. It's just as long as you do like a little bit each day, the goal is to not have to stop what you're doing to go back to farm these later. However, if you do not want to do this, you don't have to, but this is what I do just so I can kind of like get my chores out of the way. Essentially, I look at these as chores, and it's basically I just go in. If I am getting low on a certain shard, then I will go do, you know, maybe farm it for like 30 minutes, you know. So like for example, here I have a lot of monomer. I know I'm good on that for a while, so I would need to farm inorganic and organic. Those two are getting pretty low, so I would probably want to go farm those pretty soon and just do that for like 30 minutes to an hour. You don't have to do it, I mean, however long you want to do it. I just think it's a good idea to at least get a few runs done per day, just so you're like passively stacking those up. Next thing you should be doing is coming over here to modules and seeing which ones you need. I do this pretty much every day. I will look through my Transcendent mods and go through them. Ideally, you want to have all of these unlocked, so you'll always be able to use the mod that you want to use. However, some of these do drop off. Well, a lot of these do drop off those hard bosses, and if you're not that far yet, you're not going to have as many as I do. I am up to Molten Fortress right now, but keep in mind you can also go over here to the module guy, and he will let you combine modules. I already did mine for today. I combined all my Transcendent modules, and he will give you a new Transcendent module. So I believe you can also do this with like legendary modules, and you have a chance to get that Transcendent module if I'm not mistaken, but I usually just do the Transcendent modules. Usually I'll just come over here, and if I have a duplicate, instead of disenchanting it, I would just, you know, throw it in here, and then I would combine it, and I would have a chance to get one of those ones that maybe I can't defeat that specific hard boss, so I would just combine it and hope that I would get that module. That is an option. Keep in mind, if they do add trading in the future, this might not be the best play, just because if you have those Transcendent modules stacked up and they add trading, you can use that as leverage to get something that you want. However, they have not mentioned, they said that they were thinking about doing the trading, so it hasn't been like super confirmed that they're gonna add it. If they do eventually add it, it might be a good idea to hold on to some of your duplicates. However you want to do it, I'm not going to tell you how to play. When it comes to your Transcendent modules, you can make the educated decision if you want to hold on to them and or hold them to trade them later in the future. Me personally, I just combine them, and then, you know, by the time they add trading, I feel like I'll have plenty of duplicates stacked up, so it's really not that big of a deal for me. For you, you might feel differently, so just try and make an educated decision on what you'd like to do there. For the next thing that I usually focus on when I log in, I try not to let these normal amorph materials stack up too much. Like for example, here I have 25 of them. I did have a lot more. You want to always be going to open these amorph materials. So for example, this one would be normal pyromaniac. So see how this has a 3% chance to contain an energy activator, so I would want to open all 25 of these to try and get, like, you know, one or two of those energy activators. You can get unlucky, obviously, but it's always a good idea not to let these stack up, because if I can get a 1 or 2 energy activators out of these, it'll be super worth, and you're probably not going to be using them for anything else. So if you want to go like run normal pyromaniac, if you're in hard mode and you're built up, it should only take you a few seconds to kill them, and then you would just open it and try and get those blueprints. It's a good idea to just always use your mats that you have. You don't have to do it and full send it all in one day. It's just, you keep it in mind that don't forget about these, because you do have a chance of containing those blueprints, which you are going to need to level your guns and your Descendants. Always a good idea to at least get a few runs in per day. And of course, for number 10, this is going to be really obvious. I am sure you already know this, but you do always want to be researching something. So if you don't have anything researched when you log in, you want to kind of get an idea of what you want to be doing. Right now, I have usually my top priorities are energy activators and catalyst, of course, and then I'll craft like either a Descendant or a gun. That's what I'm doing for right now, but you do always want to have something in here because a lot of these mats take a while to complete. So you always want to throw them in there as soon as you have room for them, because as I said, this takes 30 hours, so you want to constantly be rotating and adjusting what you're putting into your research. So just keep that in mind and always try to have something thrown in here just so you're optimizing your time and you can start working on something else after that much quicker. And that's pretty much it, guys. That is going to be the 10 things that you should be doing when you log in. I'm sure there are some other things, but you guys get the idea that this is basically what I do when I log in. So it's always a good idea to just knock your chores out first, and then you can kind of go do whatever you want to do. If I did help you out in any way, please consider hitting that sub button. I am Samix Plays, and of course, as always, if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope you guys have a good one. One more thing I wanted to tell you guys also is always make sure that if you are farming, you have the external components with the thing that you're wanting to farm. So for example, if I'm trying to farm gold, I would want a piece here that has a legendary gold drop rate increase modifier. And like this one right here, if I am trying to level a Descendant, this has a gold character XP gain modifier. So you always want to be throwing those pieces on if you are farming, by the way. I forgot to mention this, but yeah, if you always want to have a farming set on and rotate your relics. Just make sure to register them and make sure to throw those on when you're farming so you get extra materials. I should have mentioned it earlier, but I totally forgot. My bad. But now I will see you guys later. I am Samix Plays. Y'all take care. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a good one. Peace.